So our third day in Ireland, it was our last day on the east coast of Ireland, and we were due to head back to the west coast the next day. So on our last day, what we decided to do was to meet our Ireland friend guide at a museum and go from there. So we met him there, and in the process of touring the place and swapping stories, I decided to ask him about a particular phrase that I had received during the lead up to this Ireland trip. It was another circumstance where I was half asleep and half awake, and I had received a phrase that during that life as a Druid that I had remembered. It was a phrase that we would say in ceremony frequently. I Googled it, couldn't find it anywhere, didn't know what it meant. So I had just kind of like kept it in the back of my mind, but for some reason I decided to ask him about it. So the phrase, I'm going to say it to you, the phrase as I had received it was Nagrir, Nagal, Nagrut. Nagrir, Nagal, Nagrut. And, it's very strange sounding. Anyway, I asked him about it for some reason, and for him, it was actually familiar, and I was really shocked. So he did some research, and what he found was actually just a little bit different. So what he found was, instead of na, it's an, and it's an gran, an gal, an gort. Just a little bit different from what I had received. But an, he said, is singular, and na is plural. He said what it means is the sun, the moon, the earth. But if you do plural, it would be all suns, all moons, all earths. So I was really excited to learn that. So this ties in with what's happening next. So while we were at the museum, we came across a display of the Hill of Tara, like a replica of the Hill of Tara. And he's like, have you guys been there yet? And we're like, nope, not yet. He goes, you gotta go tonight because this is your last chance, because you're gonna be on your last day on this side of the land. So we were making plans. We were gonna go to the Hill of Tara that night. It's also interesting that this was gonna be happening at night. I have a funny story to tell you as we were trying to find our way to the Hill of Tara at night. But what we decided to do is, we were all total geeks or nerds or whatever you want to say, but that life that I had remembered as a Druid in Ireland, I was wearing an emerald green woolen cloak and a white dress, and I had long wavy red hair. And we're like, oh my God, we have to get some emerald green woolen cloaks and bring them to Ireland. And so that's what we did. And we bought white dresses, and we knew we would be wearing them at some point. And I made these little like forehead amulets to wear. Also, if we were going to be having, holding any kind of sacred ceremony between the three of us. And so, we brought all these things with us, and we're like, you know what? It's going to be nighttime. We're going to the Hill of Tara. Let's put on all our gear. So we were going to go back, which was about an hour away, back to our Airbnb, get dressed, in our gear, and then go back to the Hill of Tara. And, so by the time we get there, of course, this is a place we've never been. So we don't know what it looks like during the day. And it's pretty much there's no lighting on that road. It's a back road. It's hardly any cars on it. So we didn't know exactly where we were going, and even if we were close to the Hill of Tara. So we parked somewhere in all of our gear, and we decided not to use flashlights, and we decided we were just going to walk up the road. So here's the three of us parked on the side of the road, walking up this road, not knowing exactly where we were, and no flashlights. These three women in emerald green woolen cloaks and dresses walking up this road, and just feeling determined to get there. and also a little, official in our gear, right? It was so funny. And, suddenly a car comes up behind us and we're like, oh my God, what do we do? We're all dressed like this and we don't have flashlights. I don't know. What do we do? And so, we're walking on the road, not even on the side of the road. We're just walking up the middle of this road, determined. And so I decide what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk off the side of the road into the brush, and I'm going to and I don't know why I did this, but I was like, I'm going to act like I'm a ghost or something. So I turned my back and I've got my cloak on. I'm going like this with my arms. And then now there was 3 of us. So the other one was like staring at the car like, what are you doing? Who are you? And then the other one was like, hi, how are you? And then so like each of us had this completely different presentation to the people in this car. And so it kind of like whoever was in the car took a look at us and was trying to figure things out and then like gunned it. And when we told our Irish friend about this, he said there's actually a lot of superstitions about sightings in that area, the Hill of Tara, and like on that road of strange sightings of like beings or apparitions. And so they could have thought they were seeing apparitions, who knows? But one thing for sure, they'll probably never forget it. Okay, anyway, so we find that we were kind of in the wrong spot. So we ended up moving the car a little closer, actually found a little parking lot. And we were hoping, we'd be able to just walk right in, but the gate was locked. So we're like, okay, we can't just walk in. What are we going to do? So what we decided to do was we're going to climb the gate. So, each of us, we're in our dresses and our cloaks, and we climb over this gate. And again, we decide not to draw attention to ourselves. So we're not using our flashlights. So we're trying to use whatever moonlight there was or whatever lights from the houses around to sort of find our way around. And so not really seeing the ground very well, there's dips and rises, and so we're kind of working our way through the Hill of Tara. And our Irish friend told us that phrase, I'm going to say it the right way now, Nagran, Nagal, Nagort. He said we need to say that when we get to the Hill of Tara, like in ceremony. So that was our plan. We were going to use this phrase when we got there together. So previously that day when we were shopping, we had come across some fire quartz, which I hadn't really seen too many of before, but we went into a crystal shop and found these fire quartz and felt that we needed to get each of us, all the 3 of us, one of those fire quartz, and we were going to bring them to the Hill of Tara. So we had our fire quartz. We were fully, decked out in our dress. We had our headpieces, our head amulets on with the crescent moon. And we were ready for whatever we were going to be guided to do. So we got onto the top of one of the mounds and we joined hands together. And for me, this was a moment with my voice. I had a light language activation years ago, but I had felt very reluctant to speak it out loud. I would hear it come through. I would hear it in my mind. I would say it in my mind and in dreams, but I never would just like speak it out loud with my own physical voice. And after we joined hands and we said this chant together, Nagran, Nagal, Nagort, we unite all suns, all moons, and all lands, through all space and all time, in unconditional love. And after we did that, then I was getting that spirit nudge to actually go ahead and speak the light language. And so with, overcoming my own ego and whatever else is standing against me speaking in any kind of way, I went ahead and let the light language through, and it was beautiful, and it felt, even though it was a little scary, it felt empowering to finally just let it out. And so each of us sort of did our own little thing that we were guided to do. And then we were guided to several other places that night. So if you watch the first video that I put out, the preparation for the Ireland trip, you'll see that I was guided to make an orgonite pyramid that was double. It was an octahedron. So I had been guided to take that to the Hill of Tara, along with all of those other pucks that I had made that I also talked about in the preparation video. So at the Hill of Tara, there was a particular place where I was guided to just like jab it into the ground so that it would stand. And so I jabbed it into the ground, this pyramid, and then placed 3 of the pucks around it. And again, we did a little bit of the ceremony, whatever we were guided to say or do. And then my friend, one of my friends who was there, I'm just gonna call them my soul sisters, was guided to do a little reading of something that would release the souls that might have been in despair from what had happened on that site historically. So that we did. We also found like a spiral place that we did more intention. And then one of my other soul sisters that was there saw a ship in the sky, and then that was awesome because we felt, you know, the work that we were doing was supported. And lo and behold, after we left and we are halfway home, I am just suddenly like, holy crap, I left the pyramid there. Like my intentions were to bring it back with me and use it wherever else as a tool. And as we continued on, we realized that on our entire trip to the Hill of Tara, we kept seeing references to as above, so below. So we would see a lot of things where things were being mirrored above and below, or things are the same backward and forward. I can't tell you how many of those things we saw on our way. And so as I'm thinking about that on the way home, the pyramid that was left there was as above, so below. And I began to think, you know what? I think that pyramid is supposed to stay there. And, you know, if someone ends up finding it and taking it, well, then it's meant to be. So we decided, I decided I was going to be okay with it and just leave it there and let fate have its destiny with it. And that concludes the east side of our trip for the first 3 days. And our next part of the journey is on the west coast, and some pretty exciting stuff to come.